Welcome back to another episode of Mind, Your Body, and Soul, the healthy podcast, the healthiest podcast you have ever heard in your entire life. I am Joseph Ward, and as always, joining me is my co-host and one of the captains of this ship that go along around here, Mr. Mathias Sweet. What's going on, Mathias?
Nothing much, just chilling, trying to, make it. This daylight savings time has really messed me up today. I lost my good hour, but it's okay. I'm getting back on track slowly but sure.
It messed me up yesterday real bad. So
Yesterday wasn't that bad. I could sleep in yesterday, so I didn't have to really be to work. And then today, trying to get there, knowing my body was like, it's 5 o'clock, really in my mind, but on the clock it says 6 o'clock. So I'm like,
Right.
But we making it. We gonna make it, Joe.
So we following up this week because last week you and Miss Steeple, we got together and we talked about women's health in a broad sense.
Right.
And understanding that with March, in the month of March, we are focusing on women. We're talking about women's health. We're just talking about women's history. Anything women empowerment we dealing with in this month of March. So we want to make sure that we do it right. But before we get into it, before we tell everybody who this lovely young lady is on the screen, do a little housekeeping real quick. So remember that Mind, Your Body, and Soul is an educational podcast that focuses on all things health related to help our listeners learn more about the various health topics and information they may not have access to. We seek to inform, empower, uplift, and mobilize our listeners to become the healthiest versions of themselves. Remember, you can go to our website at www.nmcpodcast.com. Also visit our parent website at www.neighborhoodmedicalcenters.org, your new home for your medical care. You can also catch us on our podcast on Anchor, Breaker, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and as well as our Neighborhood Medical Center YouTube channel. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share.
So Joe, what happens if they like it?
If you like the video and you comment, they got a little thing called an algorithm. That means more people can see our stuff. So make sure you do that. All right. So in our continued quest to make sure we get as much information about women's health as possible, I was like, hey, I know the perfect young lady to have on this podcast. I met her in high school. She was like the fastest woman ever back then. Still is now. So, but health and mindfulness and wellness has been something that she has been a champion of for a while. Okay. She is now a professor of occupational therapy. She's a mindfulness coach. She's a wellness coach. She uses hip hop, health, and mindfulness. She meshed all that together to present health in a different way, becoming healthy in a different way, thinking healthy in a different way, and how the way she delivers her information and the way she connects with the different people that she comes in contact with is amazing. And so many people are healthier and in a better space because of her. So I would like to welcome to Mind Your Body. So my good friend is Jian Jones. Welcome.
All right. Welcome.
Thank you. That intro is honored.
Thank you. No problem. Just make this phone stop. All right, so Mathias, you got the first question, man. Let's do this.
Okay. So can you give our audience a little background information about yourself and tell us pretty much about the whole coaching and what's all entailed with that?
Okay, so as Joe stated, I'm Jian Jones, born and raised in Tallahassee, Florida, by way of a small town named Pelham, Georgia. It's in rural South Georgia, and I have to bring up Pelham because that's where my roots are, and I learned a lot about myself by knowing where I came from. And I think that's important for everyone. Graduated from Rickards High School, the Rickards High School. I went to Florida Atlantic University, and then I am now at Florida A&M University. So through my matriculation throughout college, it was exercise science and health promotion, occupational wellness, occupational therapy, which helped me become an occupational therapist. And now I am a doctoral candidate for educational leadership at Florida A&M currently. I am hip hop as a culturally relevant way to empower African American students, but not just African American students. Outside the classroom, I'm using it as a culturally relevant way to help us understand who we are in multiple ways. So that includes health, that includes mindfulness, that includes the nutrition aspect, that includes just accepting who you are and identity, and that explains who I am today, in addition to being a mother of three wonderful boys that keep me super busy.
That's a lot.
Hey, she knocked that out the park.
Right. That's why, women are so powerful to me, because they manage so much more than us men folk. Like, they can handle a whole household of kids and work and school, and we be like, bruh, help. Like, I don't know where to go from left or right. So more power to you, and we really thank you for what you do, and especially with that. But Joe, I want to ask another question.
Go ahead, do your thing.
So I'm just, when you say hip hop, that kind of hit me, because everybody like music. So how do you use mindfulness with hip hop to make you, what I'm saying, I guess, do what you do? Because sometimes people say hip hop is more derogatory, or what I'm saying, or the rap or the slang, and it's just degrading some things. So how do you use that for mindfulness?
Okay, so I have this charge on social media right now, Facebook and IG, that mindfulness is hip hop. And mindfulness basically, when it sums up to or sums down to moments, right? Hip hop as a culture includes moments, and hip hop can be used responsibly. Now you have the traditional origin of hip hop. It started out to actually help those that were in the ghetto within a social socioeconomic status to do something positive. But over time, we know that the music industry came in and saw something that was wonderful, and they decided to commercialize that. So over time, when you have First Blow, DMC, it then transitions to be um, your Lil Babies, your Dub Babies, and whoever else, right? Because it makes money. And so when I say that mindfulness is hip hop, I'm talking about the whole culture of hip hop and how it benefits us as a whole in a responsible way. Now, if you relate to trap music and that to who you are, then you can actually use that. You can actually use the curse words. They're talking about what they do in terms of a profession, being a street pharmacist, and turn that into a positive thing. People may ask me how, and I can give you an example if given the opportunity to. Or you can use the fact that someone like Jay-Z turned that profession into $1 billion industry, which may still seem derogatory, but Nipsey Hussle said no one wants to tell you how they reached their first million. And when I say nobody, not just African American people or people within the Black diaspora, I'm talking about anybody, Caucasian people, Indian people, or Indian descent, or Eastern or Middle Eastern descent. No one will give you all the details, because most likely someone was keeping unfair. So with that being said, there are positive aspects of the entire culture, not just rap music, but the entire culture that benefits us, just as all cultures have positive aspects.
Okay, that's what's up.
Right.
'Cause,
But
I mean, I like music, and what I'm
yeah,
saying. So trying to use music, most people. I guess I'm a little different, because I try to use song and things to remember stuff sometimes. So the music really helps me. So it's kind of go hand in hand with the coaching thing. So
Oh, Mathias, you just said something very important in
what?
terms of mindfulness and hip hop. You said you use music to help you remember.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. And that's an example of how mindfulness is hip hop right there.
Oh yeah, cause like going through school, trying to remember different things, and people looked at me like I was crazy when I was A&P and I was touching my arm like this is this is this. They was like, "What's wrong with you?" This how I remember, and I guess I'm more of a visual learner
Mhm.
than I am of an auditory. So it's like I had to think sometimes of where it's at on my body, or I had to think of a song, something that, because songs are catchy, so you can remember stuff and like, okay, I need to remember this. So maybe this poem could help me in my head, and I'll be like, okay, I gotta remember what it is, but I gotta remember not to sing it because I can't sing. So I gotta remember to say it like it's supposed to be, and not be like point blank. Okay, but that is a part of my. I never thought of it being mindfulness. I just thought it was me being unique on trying to figure out how to remember things.
right.
Mhm.
So let's explore mindfulness a bit deeper.
Okay.
Because you gave us a definition of what mindfulness is, but how does a person achieve mindfulness? Is it something that would need help with, or do they need to go to some kind of practitioner? Well, how do you help people achieve mindfulness?
Okay, so an individual can actually start practicing mindfulness on their own. It just starts with knowing, aware of the definition of what mindfulness is. And mindfulness is being aware in the present moment without judgment, accepting what you're feeling in that moment, in that minute, without judging yourself. So, for example, if I'm upset because someone cut me off in traffic, I just need to accept the fact that, okay, I'm upset, but can you control what happened? No. What are you able to control in the situation? Myself. I just acknowledge that I'm upset. What am I going to do about it? I'm going to drive off. I'm going to be a more defensive driver in a positive way and keep it moving. That's just a small example, right? Because if we apply that same example to an individual that we get into an altercation, a verbal altercation with or discussion, you can attempt to draw back your personal feelings about it. Be aware that you are upset. Be aware that this conversation is becoming very heated. Ask the individual, is there a way that we can both calm down so that we can actively listen to one another to accept what we're thinking about and then come to a solution. So knowing what the definition is the very first thing. Then it takes practice. So when I said when that individual cuts you off in traffic, you have to make a decision to be mindful versus getting upset, rushing it, like hunting this person down in order to cut them back off, or to let them know, you know, that's
Right.
one thing, right? And then going back to the example of the altercation, you have to make a decision to be mindful. You have to realize, okay, either I can continue to allow this to escalate in the part that I'm playing in the situation, or I can implement my mindfulness practice and myself down and attempt to help the individual calm down. They have to then receive the invitation, accept the invitation to be mindful as well, and control if they can do that or not. And if they don't, you still can maintain your decision in being mindful. So you don't need anyone to help you do that. You just need to know the definition and make a decision to do it yourself. Will it assist you to go to a practitioner? Yes, it's, it does help to have that external instructor to give you exercises and to give you feedback on how you're performing in that area. But you don't necessarily need to go to anyone. You can
Okay.
on your own, or use YouTube University, or buy you some mindfulness books, read them, listen to an audiobook or a podcast on mindfulness, and just make the decision to do it on your own.
Right. So what would you say would be some of the health benefits of a person practicing mindfulness?
Decrease anxiety, decrease stress, improvements in sleep, improvements in digestion, improvements with the respiratory system, improvements with productivity, because now you don't have these feelings trapped in your mind, or you now have the tool to process different feelings that are upsetting or things that may cause you to feel depressed. And you're able to work through these things so that you can be productive. So there are a good amount of benefits of mindfulness, starting with the that I just named.
Okay.
So how would a person, so say I get a mindfulness coach, or we get into that, what is like a typical length of a session, and like how long would it, like for like each session, how long would that be? And then like the other part to it is, how long would I need to be like in, I don't want to say it's like therapy, but coaching, like how long would that go? Would it be just for a short period of time, like maybe 4 weeks and then I'm on my own, or is it something that you continue?
That's a very good question. It depends on the individual. So if the individual is willing to do the work, it could be 2 weeks to 4 weeks, as you stated. But if it's
Okay.
someone that needs continuous coaching, that person that doesn't necessarily want to learn how to fish so that they can feed themselves and a whole lot of people, but they want the fish sandwich, then it makes something that's continuous. A session could be from 10 minutes, 30 minutes, all the way up to an hour. And I know that's a large range. It just depends on how self-aware the individual is. So we can come with a good amount of insight and self-awareness, but little practice of mindfulness and you catch on. Or you may have a minimal awareness and insight where you need a good amount of instruction from there. So it just depends on the individual. Right now, I'm working with individuals that only need cueing in terms of mindfulness and being self-aware and implementing that insight piece. And I have some that still, even after 4 years, need up to an hour in terms of how do you feel? How did that make you feel after the process? The thoughts that we've been talking about, that sort of thing. They still need a guided mindfulness instruction and coaching.
Okay, so so it can kind of be like a therapeutic type thing for somebody.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's basically implementing cognitive behavioral therapy, where you're just an individual think about their behavior in that moment and then deciding how they can change it. If they aren't able to decide how they can change it on their own, just offer them some techniques.
Okay.
So, all right. So talking about mindfulness, that's more on the wellness side. Because we have terms health, wellness, being healthy and being fit. So could you kind of break down just what's the difference between a person being fit and a person being healthy?
Okay, so if we're talking about physical fitness, then that has to do with the physiological aspect of the individual, right? Because you have mental fitness, emotional fitness, financial fitness. But if we're talking about just physical fitness, it's about endurance, strength, and conditioning. But overall health and wellness is talking about the whole person. So now we incorporate that mental aspect, that emotional aspect, that social aspect, which a good amount of us have been impacted in that area because of the pandemic and a good amount of social justice issues that are happening within our society. And then you have other aspects, like so your sleep aspect, like that affects overall health and wellness. So the fitness component in terms of the physical aspect has to do with conditioning, strength, and endurance, and then overall wellness has to do more with the whole person, not just the physical part.
Okay.
So that goes back to what the show was called, Mind, Body, and Soul. Basically, it's saying that we have to condition our mind and our body and our soul in order to be healthy. And that's what I think a lot of people don't get, that it does start with your whole well-being can start with your mental health. If your mind is off, then your body and your physical health can be off because the triggers go through. Like a lot of people feel like, even myself, like I used to be really big and I always thought I couldn't lose the weight. I can't do this. I can't do that. And then I guess it was more mental. But once I could put it into my cognitive mind and say, hey, I can do this, I think that's where the process starts. So I think this is a great topic because it brings awareness to the different things. Because I never knew that there was a coach out there for, helping with mindfulness and things like that. We starting to learn more about coaches, Joe, and different things that we can have to help endure your career, your life itself. Have to incorporate that. What's that? Work-life balance, and you got to separate everything in order for things to flow. You have to have that cutoff and know this is it. From 8 to 5 is when I'm at work. To this is this. You need to have those boundaries, and I think that's one thing that I think mindfulness can help with. Am I right?
Yes, you are.
Okay.
So what do you say? And the reason why I asked that question, because we live in a society now where being physically fit is the thing, especially in the Instagram culture. It's like, this is what I look like. But that doesn't mean I'm healthy. And I think a lot of people get it mixed up. Okay, I bulked up, but on the inside, I'm not really healthy, or my mind isn't healthy. So like, how should a person be eating to get that full health? Like, okay, I look good on the outside and I'm healthy on the inside. Like, should it be a combination of working out, eating, meditation, all those things? Or what would you normally recommend, or what is normally recommended from a health professional to help somebody have that full balance of health in their body?
That's a good question too, Joe. So it is about being balanced in each area, right? So we need the physical aspect or the fitness aspect, and that can include cardiovascular exercise. It can include the strength or the weightlifting piece to improve your musculature. It could be the practice of yoga or Pilates or aqua um a- aqua therapy, which is aqua aerobics, water aerobics, right? Any of those things to get your heart pumping, your blood flowing, and your muscles and your joints moving, and to help improve or either maintain the integrity of those things, right? But then the mental aspect has to come in as well. And this just means taking time away from every task that we have to already do today. So, like you guys just talked about, how losing that hour Saturday night or even Sunday morning has affected basically our performance this Monday, 2 days later, right? So, being mindful of that, we need to make sure that we take out some time today to actually just accept the fact that we are here, accept the fact that it's going to be like this for the fall. What can we do to improve how we feel in this moment? So you're giving yourself the time to accept it. You're being mindful that it occurred, and you're going to create a plan. That's a part of being mindful too. Then you have the eating aspect. We can't talk about thinking about something, making a plan for something to improve our overall health if we're not putting in our body what we need. So hydration is very important, and that's a part of the diet aspect. So making sure that we get enough water for our body type and our body size. Right? It's about getting enough green vegetables. And FDA or USDA, they have this recommendation of what we should have on our plate. But we have different diets that people actually incorporate for the lifestyle. So you have flexitarians, which I consider myself to be one of those. You have vegans, vegetarians, carnivores. It doesn't matter what you are as long as you're implementing what you need in terms of vegetables, fruit, protein, starches, grains, right? Because we need micronutrients just as much as we need macronutrients. And then you need, I can't talk about nutrition, I can't talk about exercise, and I can't talk about the meditation aspect. I don't talk about sleep. And then you need rest, which may include leisure. Rest is two different things. Rest is when you sit back, you actually attempt to do nothing. You may have thoughts, but you're sitting down and you're watching TV or catching up on your favorite show without actually moving around, scrolling Instagram, working on something on your computer at the same time. And then you sleep, which is where you are in this unconscious state and you're allowing your body to recuperate in all these different areas. So when we talk about the whole person and what we eat in terms of fitness, food, sleep, meditation, all of it takes balance. It's a good amount of work, but if we dedicate ourselves to it, we can all be healthier people.
Okay. So I got a question. So I'm always on to my fat journey here. So if I am a person who, saying struggles with like losing weight, how can mindfulness help me with eating right or help me to do the nutritional side or the exercise? If you have that self-consciousness about yourself, I guess, when you're going to the gym and you always thinking everybody's looking at you, how would you do with the mindfulness? How would mindfulness help me stay focused and keep on track to getting my body to the way I'm looking or wanting it to be?
Okay, so that's a really good question. Acknowledging who you are and the issues that you're having with this journey, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if you create a goal for yourself or if you mark a goal, then you need to discuss with yourself. So that's that insight piece. What is stopping me from achieving this goal? Why haven't I had issues all of these years?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then you write down the different issues that you've had in terms of the type of food that you eat, the times that you eat. When you actually go to food, like is food an issue? So like when you're feeling sad or upset, or you happy, are you fellowshipping over food? Are you binging on food, or are you mistreating or using your intake of food? And then is what am I using the gym for, or my exercise? Am I using it to just accomplish this goal of looking a certain way, or do I want to be overall healthy in different aspects of my life? So that's where mindfulness comes in. First, again, knowing the definition of mindfulness, accepting the different aspects of ourselves that's keeping us from reaching the goal after we set the goal, and then reminding ourselves that being self-aware of what we need to do in order to reach the goal. So that's what mindfulness does. Mindfulness provides these reminders in the present moment, and it allows you to not judge yourself. So also you fall victim to the streets, as Tupac would say, by not going to the gym and not eating what you need to eat. It's just okay, don't judge yourself. That was that moment. But guess what?
Mm-hmm.
Go to the gym in 30 minutes, get there. Or you can go to the gym in the morning, get there. Or yes, you did have a 20-piece wing from Wingstop.
Yes.
However, this evening, what we need to do is make sure that we flush a good amount of that out. So to drink more water than we typically would during the day, and maybe end our day with a salad, a nice long salad to help flush that all out. So that's what
Mm.
mindfulness does in that of situation it is. It actually just reminds us of what we need to do and keeps us honest with ourselves.
Right. Okay.
You said flexitarian.
Right. You know that was my other question.
Yeah.
I say sometimes a Tarian. That means I sometimes eat a vegetable deal, or sometimes I eat some meat, or sometimes this. But what is a flexitarian?
So, in being mindful, I listen to what my body needs. A long time ago, I was in high school. I stopped eating pork. When I was about a sophomore in college, I stopped eating beef. And then I became vegetarian over those years and then started practicing veganism. But then because I wasn't getting the micronutrients that I need, even though I thought that I was knowledgeable, I wasn't used to practicing what I needed with my schedule, right? So I was lacking micronutrients, which then caused me to become anemic. So I need to start to incorporate more intake of iron, not just from supplements, but also from food. And so I started back eating different types of feed that were high in iron. But then over time and educating myself, I just decided to pull back from those two. But if my body tells me that I need something specifically, I'm going to eat it. And that's what I mean by flexitarian. I don't subscribe to just one category in terms of my diet. If my body tells me I need something, I'm going to do it. The other thing is I'm really big on culture and family. So if my mom's cooking something, she knows how I am, is how I like food prepared, and it's nostalgic to me, I'm going to eat it because my mom made it. And she's only here for a certain amount of time. So that's what a flexitarian is, being flexible with yourself, still responsible, but being flexible with yourself, not subscribing to just one type of lifestyle diet.
So you basically saying, so if I see, you know how most people say, oh, I'm vegan, I'm healthy. That doesn't mean they're healthy. Or I only eat chicken, or I only eat fish, or I only eat, most people don't eat just beef. But, you know what I'm saying? Or I just, not a vegan, but a vegetarian. So because those are all different types of, I guess, diets or I don't know, lifestyle modifications that they seem to choose. So just because I'm one of those doesn't mean I'm healthy. I can still have health issues because when most people say, "Hey, I'm a vegan," they think they automatically healthy because they're skinny, they're thin, they're, you know what I'm saying? So does that mean that they're not always healthy? So if I just switch over to a different diet and say I'm a pescatarian today, I'm more healthier because I'm a pescatarian?
No, because it's all about the macronutrients and micronutrients that we're getting in. It also is about your mental health as well. So if you switch over to be vegan, but then you start to subscribe or judge people for eating meat, then that means that you are exhibiting toxic behavior just because of your own personal choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
So no, I actually trained for 2 bodybuilding competitions for the figure category.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time, I had to intake a lot of protein, right? So I'm eating a lot of fish, a lot of fish. But there were a good amount of foods that I could not eat that are still extremely nutritious for us. And over time, I just realized that it wasn't a healthy sport for me because I wasn't able to actually eat the foods that I needed for myself to thrive and to live this whole well balanced life. So, not to say that you can't be healthy while training. It's just that when in my preparation and learning the sport, I wasn't very healthy. So I would have to go back to the drawing board if I decided to do it again. Because even though I looked really great and people saw me this very strict diet, it wasn't healthy at all. It wasn't. So yes, you can be a vegan and eat French fries all day, and that's not healthy. Or you can be a vegan and eat whole unprocessed foods and be healthy because you're getting what you eat. You can eat pork and beef and still be extremely healthy because of the select types of meat that you're eating, along with the veggies, grains.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, you can be unhealthy, but still subscribe to more positive lifestyle in terms of dietary intake. And you can be deemed a eater and be extremely healthy because you know what you're doing. You're putting
Right.
into your body what you need.
Okay. Well, thank you for clearing that up, because a lot of people do have the idea that if I eliminate meat from my diet, then I'm automatically going to be healthy. I know what I learned from myself, and I'm glad that you explained listening to your body. For me, I'm the best here at Neighborhood. I'm the salad man. I'm the vegetable man. Everybody know. Like I love my vegetables. Most of my food gonna be vegetables, but I had to B12 deficiency. So I had to get on the B12 pills, but I incorporated beef slowly back into my diet. Not a lot, but I eat it a little more now, but also looking at different aspects of, okay, I need all my vitamins and minerals. I need everything. And if I don't get everything, like you said, I'm not going to be fully healthy. And I think that's what people miss is, okay, I'm not eating the foods that they said were bad, but I'm not eating all the good foods. I'm not balanced. So I'm glad you hit on that.
Mm-hmm. Because, that does go there. Because, sometimes my motto is if the meat gone, the meal over with. Like, that's my main thing. Like, mine is I'm about the meat. It makes me happy. I get excited. Food makes me excited. And it's like, when you think of a food, because I'll be thinking, it'd be first thing I say, what we going to eat, Joe? It'd be like, I got to get processed and ready because it got to be good. It got to be savory. It's got to be there. But it's not always good for you. And so I think that's my issue is I'm all about the meat, the protein, da 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 da. But sometimes I lack on that vegetable part because you know what I'm saying? It ain't what you really want. It don't taste all that sometimes to some people. To me, Joe eats salad without dressing. I need the dressing. I can't just eat the lettuce. I can't.
Yeah, I could do that too.
And see, and it just don't taste the same. That vinaigrette that I'm trying to get to now is a little bit more tantalizing my salad and my lettuce for my nutrients to give me a different taste versus the raw vegetables.
Right.
So I got it's a compromise here. I'm eating the salad, but I do gotta have a little bit of the other thing until I get my body and my mindfulness to eat it raw. I can't just it's a work in progress. It's baby steps over this way. Baby
But
steps.
you can also be mindful that you don't like the vegetables the way that Joe likes them. And the way that
Yeah.
Matthias likes them is with a vinaigrette, which is a better option than a creamy dressing. And that's just mindful for you,
Right.
Matthias. You have to do what other people are transcribing to. If you are, let's say, congratulations on your weight loss journey, right?
Oh, thank
What
you.
how did you get there? And then what were you able to do in order to maintain that consistent loss, or if you reached a a plateau, what did you do in order to um get back on the track of loss again? Like, did you have ranch every once in a while, then have vinaigrette? Were you more of a flexitarian and eating maybe chicken and fish, and then every once in a while you have a beef or bison burger? Like, what did you do? You can be mindful that way as well. You don't have to eat just raw veggies if they aren't good for you. I mean, if they aren't good to you, because they are good for you. But if they aren't good to you, that's being mindful also. Um,
See, the veggies ain't the problem. It's the butter and the salt that I have an issue with
Yes, he
to add
he
to
he heavy on
that.
salt.
okay,
So
okay.
it's like I eat the veggies. The veggies not a problem.
He heavy
It's
on
just
that
I have
salt.
to, doctor it up a little bit. Add my butter and my garlic and my, let's sprinkle a little salt. Maybe a little heavy salt than sprinkle, but
Little heavy salt. A
a
lot of heavy
little
salt.
heavy salt.
So
But
okay.
I'm saying that part. But I'm saying like with me in my journey, I kind of did almost the keto type thing where I cut out all carbs, and I found out like cutting out the carbs, it just wasn't for me. Yes, I dropped the weight, but then all of a sudden like my blood sugar would drop to 40. And it'd be like, well, now I got a headache. I'm feeling like this, dizzy, feeling tired. So I had to get that under control that I understand. Like my body was telling me I needed something else, some type of carb, some type of bread to give me energy to move because I was crashing before 12 o'clock because I was cutting out all carbs. Like, I mean, everything, pasta, everything, no breading, no nothing. And I realized that's not good for me.
Mm-mm.
And so I was like, I have to find that balance. And then when I found that balance, I could see the weight coming off because I figured out the right balance. But then you get to that point to where you get on that plateau and you be like, okay, no matter what I'm doing, it's not working no more. Like, okay, I'm over this. I'm tired.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I'm going back to eat what I want to eat. But then you kind of steady stay on that same path because your mind be like, do you really want to get back to where you were?
Mm-hmm.
Or so, but it's difficult. But my thing is the doctoring up the stuff. It's not about I can eat it. It's just I need the butter and the salt and the other stuff to add to
You
it.
don't need them. You want them because they taste good.
Yes, yes.
So it's just being mindful of that. It's not a need. It's a want. And listen, I told y'all I was from like by way of Pelham, Georgia for a reason. I mean everything is smothered in oil, butter. I mean butter straight from the churn because you know they don't milk the cow and did what they had to make. So trust and believe. Some good biscuits that my grandma taught me how to make. And I cook them things up from scratch. I tell you, delicious. My mouth is watering now.
Yes.
However, I know that I can't have those all the time. I am mindful that majority of my maternal family, the side of my family, suffers from diabetes. So since I'm from that bloodline, or from that lineage, most likely if I practice those same eating practices or that same diet, I'm on my way to obtaining diabetes, which is why they say, you know, if it's in your family, that's just because you've been conditioned to eat a certain way, but you can change your mind. That's my personal belief. You can change your mind and change the route of your health life. Is what I'm going to say. So it's just being mindful and make the decision that I don't need it is something that I want. And in the meantime, this is what I'm going to use, which there's some awesome black owned spice companies. The Spice Sweet is one. I want you to check them out on Instagram. She has free as well as salted seasons that she makes them from scratch. She travels the world. She grinds them. She's located in DC, and she makes food taste awesome because I've purchased it and I haven't had to put salt on my food, but it's still savory, if that makes sense. And then like the butter, but using olive oil, avocado. I know you got these things, but yeah, just take away that butter and and I'm gonna have every once in a while, but majority of the time I'm gonna have a better fit. That makes sense.
Okay. That does make sense. You know,
Yeah.
I do like the little avocado. I do like that and stuff like that. So, you know, I have to do a little lifestyle changing a little bit more here, there.
And butter is good for you, just you have to use quality butter as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's gonna be more expensive.
You're right.
Yeah, yeah.
So not not margarine or anything like that, but like actual real butter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right. But
Yeah,
but
yeah.
what I'm hearing for you as far as the diets though is moderation and balance.
Hmm.
Because you know when we was having the conversation, Mathias and I, about the carbs, because a lot of conversations we've had around the office, and people are in, all right, we're in weight loss mode. One of the first things that they say is, all right, I'm gonna cut out all carbs, and I'm like, no, you need carbs. So could you explain why people need carbohydrates in their body?
Okay, so carbohydrates basically they burn down or they break down into sugar, which is energy, right? So everything that we put into our body, macronutrients are of course energy. The reason why, just in a nutshell, without giving any references or citing anyone, um, as a society, we have started to just overconsume processed carbs due to the convenience. So, you know, your fast foods and your donuts and anything that's just really quick to grab to help us stay productive or to stay moving, right? But because of this overconsumption of processed carbs, we tend to be more overweight, we have more health issues. And so what some researchers actually came up with is that it's the carbs that's causing the issue. Now that's the summary of their research. Again, just summary. So you have individuals that look at this research and they decide, hey, let's just tell people that they need to incorporate the Atkins diet or the South Beach diet, these things that are low carb. So once people started to actually catch on to those diets or those fads, they then start to think that carbs are bad for you. That's not true, as you said, Joe. It's not. We need carbs, proteins, and fats to become stronger, to make sure that our brain is functioning properly, to make sure that our um, our digestive system is functioning properly. Right? It's just the types of carbs that we put into our body. So we are over consuming the processed. Well, sorry, it is processed, but if we're over consuming pasta or bread or sugar, very cereal, then that's the issue comes in. But if we are eating more of our complex carbs, such as your brown rice and your sweet potato and things like that, then we're going to be better off. Now, when I was training for the bodybuilding in competition, I learned those were I learned where cheat days come from. It's basically restricting your body so much during the week that you have to do something called a refeed. And a refeed is you have this large amount of carbs to be simple or complex, right? Sugar in that would be a simple carb, as well as fat, so that your body can soak it all up and use it to create muscle. And it works because after my cheat meal, I will look so good. And I'm like, how do I look this good after a large fry, burger fry, and two burgers and some pancakes? Like I didn't understand what was going on, but over time, I started to, that information from exercise science that was way in the back of my brain started to come back. So just going back to that myth that carbs are bad. Carbs actually good. It's something that our body uses to break down energy. It's just that whenever we overconsume carbs for our body needs, that's when it becomes an issue. In addition to the intake, the type of carb that we're taking in. So we need carbs, we need fats, and protein. We just need quality carbs, protein, fats, and we need them at specific times throughout the day. If you're not going to burn it, then you don't need to overconsume it. That makes sense.
Right. Okay, so I got a question on that.
That's all his face when you said yeah, cheat meal.
See that cheat meal is where it's at. But so for someone like myself, I work a lot. And as Joe will probably say, I'm a workaholic. And I come to work and I normally get to work about 6:30, 7 o'clock every morning, and I probably won't eat till about 7. I might not eat lunch today. I just might not. I haven't eaten breakfast today and I haven't eaten nothing for lunch. But the thing is, I'm always on the go. So even with that it's nothing healthy. Like I'm on the south side of town right now, and there's nothing over here but fried food, McDonald's, Checkers, Burger King. There's nothing healthy options. Like when we visited DC and other big cities, they have healthy options that you can get steamed vegetables. You can get the different grilled chickens. Over here, if you get the grilled chicken, it's gonna taste like cardboard. It's gonna be like it ain't even. And I get you eat for taste, but you don't eat for taste. You eat to feed your body. But I still like that savory point that I want to eat something that's good and savory, but it's no option. So how can you tell somebody who doesn't have time to be at home to meal prep? Because by the time I get home at like 7 o'clock at night, I'm tired. I'm ready to just be like, I gotta take home care of household. I gotta take care of the dog. I gotta do different things. So it's like I don't have time to cook. I don't have time because by the time you get home and start that process to cook, it's already 10 o'clock at night. And it's like, do you really want to eat that late? And so what kind of advice can you give somebody the working folks who don't have that kind of time to be at home to cook and meal prep and do the healthy options? What kind of healthy options can we do at restaurants, if there is any, besides try to protest to get something more healthier in the city?
What say is your trip? Okay. So the first thing is going to be sacrifice. We do have to try to sacrifice and make time to make our own. I get it if you're working these long hours and you're not able to do it. So in the meantime, I would take healthy options. So on the south side of town where you are located, not too far from you, I want to say less than 2 miles, there's something called a Greenwise.
Now I eat a lot of Greenwise.
Okay, so we have Greenwise, and I do understand that on this side of town we do have limited options. I would consider us to be somewhat of a food desert, but not so much because we do have, not too far away, we have our Publix and we have our Greenwise. But for the most part, for those that may not have a car and they have to rely on public transportation and they have limited income, then they have to settle for those things. But we do have to, again, sacrifice and be willing to go to like a Greenwise or a grocery store. So once we get in there, you go to the produce section, they have the made salad, right? And then you get you a piece of rotisserie chicken, and off. It's still gonna have all those nice seasons on the inside because they inject chicken with the season. And then you put that on there to make your salad with vinaigrette. Then you can get you either like a fruit bowl on the side, or you can actually get you one of those yogurts that have the flavor in it. You put where you dump over the pineapple or the strawberry, things like that. Now I know that's a huge shift from what we're used to in terms of Checkers and McDonald's. But that's the type of shift that it's going to take. Every once in a while, after let's say we eat that for a week. This is just an example. On Friday, You want to treat yourself. You know that on Saturday you are going to wake up and you're going to go to the gym with the friend that you already made a gym appointment with, or either a walk. So you're going to treat yourself for lunch. So you can actually go to I'm gonna shout out Earth. If they have fried chicken, you get some fried chicken, take the skin off. And what I do is know, I'm just thinking about the options that we have and for the population in which you're asking the question. Get you some greens or green beans, which probably gonna have a good amount of oil in them, but you can make that your healthier choice. And then instead of getting macaroni and cheese, you can get rice. Don't get any gravy on top. Get gravy on the side and just dip it in. And then you can have you a I would still say go with water as your drink, because if you get sweet tea, it's gonna have a good amount of sugar in it. So the giving yourself range, because I don't like cheat meal thought of it, but giving yourself that range to still walk into an establishment like Early's, which is a local establishment in Black owned, and still get your fried chicken with your greens or your green beans and your rice, your gravy on the side. It still kind of gives you that illusion that you're having this meal that you would thoroughly enjoy, and then you're actually mindful that you're shifting your mind and your palate to enjoy that during that time, but then get right back on the wagon and go to Greenwise or Publix, so you create your salad at home, which is going to be a lot more tasteful if you did it at home. So those are my options. You can also get a salad from Wendy's or a McDonald's. It's not going to be as fresh, in my opinion, but you can do that. So those are some options as well.
And also for the people who are out there, everybody just, mindful of some of the patients we have, they can't afford Publix or Greenwise because it's expensive and we're on fixed incomes. So you can get Piggly Wiggly. You can go to the Save a Lot, the Fresh for Less. I'm a Fresh for Less fanatic. And just look at those other options, because Greenwise is the choice place to go. Is the cream of the crop. But I mean, you got to go what's inside your budget, guys. We want you to understand eating healthy is expensive, and to be healthy is expensive. To be unhealthy is expensive, because then you're gonna have to take pills and do everything else.
Right.
So you got to pick your lesser of the battles. Either you're gonna go get the pills, or you're gonna get the healthier options to keep you off the pills.
But I will say this: if you shop correct. So in town, if you're on the south side, you don't have transportation like that, go to the Piggly Wiggly. Piggly Wiggly has good produce. If you have transportation, go to the flea market on the weekends, go to the farmers market. There's the Southern Growers store that's out on Capitol Circle and Parkway. And there are options that people can take. Now, understand everybody don't have the same means, but there are options that people can do. But for the most part, eating healthy, living healthy, thinking healthy, feeling healthy. That's the whole the gist of it when we talk about mind, body, and soul. Now, before we start to wrap this up, you have a book.
Oh,
you have a book.
And so you are author.
Yes. Rainbow in the starlight sky, in the starlit sky.
So you said rainbow in the starlit sky?
Rainbow in the starlit sky. I can actually grab a copy.
Okay, grab a copy. Let us see.
It's on my bookshelf. I tell you that.
So Joe, real quick before we get to that, I just want people to understand. Talk to your people at the grocery store, because you can find out when those healthy options come in, so you get them as fresh as can be. So you need to kind of figure out where those grocery stores get their produce in, when it comes in, so that way you can go ahead and start buying for the week and get things like that. So just make sure you have those conversations. Just like when we go back to when we talked about the pharmacists, get to know your local grocery stores, get to know the people there, find out when stuff is coming in, because that's going to help you out too, because they also tell you when the sales are coming up, because Publix got some great buy one, get one, and you just got to ride out with it some days.
I know, Mathias, that's a really good point, because that's that sacrifice, right? So if you actually taking out time to get to know your grocers, then you know when fresh food is coming in. Also, another thing about Greenwise, they actually to target more of the collegiate community, they actually incorporate more Publix items with the Publix price. So instead of having more of a whole foods price for like your salads and pre-made things, they have more Publix price. They also have your regular your regular rotisserie chicken, which before they did not, but they have that as well. So that's another thing that I want to add.
Go ahead, show us.
Go ahead, show us.
Okay,
We
so
ready. We ready. I'm ready for the rainbow
Rainbow
and
in
the
a Starlit Sky is a 30-day perspective shifting challenge. And basically, it's a book about mindfulness, Mathias. So it just includes practices for shifting your perspective, how we already think, to think in a different way. And when we think a different way, we're able to make more mindful decisions. So it's just basically getting us in that practice of being a mindful individual with practical things that we can actually attempt to do each day that'll make it easier for us to be mindful in our overall life. There are 30 perspectives, about 2 bonus perspectives. There is an exercise at the end of each perspective. It's sort of like a daily devotional. You can just read it each day for 30 days and just continue to implement it each month. And I would say after about 3, like a quarter, if you just complete this book in a quarter, then you should have the toolkit that you need in order to be a more mindful individual. So, yes, thank you, Joe, for bringing
So
that
how
up.
can people actually get this book, and how can they get in contact with you as well? If I'm thinking about saying, I like this talk, I want to find a little bit more about mindfulness. Like, how do I get her to talk to me about mindfulness? Or if they want to have you come to a community event and talk about mindfulness, how do the people get in contact with you, and how can they order your book? Do you have a website? What's the different things like that?
I do have a website. So my website is my name, JianJones.com. That's JIAN Jones.com. The book is also available on Amazon as well as Barnes and Noble. But you can order it from my site. I would rather you order it from my site. So JianJones.com. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram. Instagram is It's Jian Jones, like it's me. So ITS Jian Jones, and on Facebook is Jian Jones. I can be reached through my website as well via the contact me button. So just click that, type in what you need, and I'll get back to you.
Right.
Okay, so Joe, you're gonna post all that in the
Oh yeah,
comments down there. We're gonna post that
all that's in the
Instagram,
description.
Twitter,
Gonna be
Facebook,
real easy.
Snapchat, all that good stuff out there so we can promote. Because you know what I'm saying, we not only just promoting, health and wellness, we're also promoting people businesses, because this is the time 2020, 2021, excuse me. I'm trying to go back and I gotta go forward. COVID is gotta go forward, gotta go forward. So with now everything, people becoming entrepreneurs and doing things, so we got to support the community itself. She is a locally owned Tallahassee business owner, so that's a great thing. She's also, Florida A&M University. You know what I'm saying? That's the land of the 7 hills right here. So we got to, we got to support our own, because, we couldn't have a rattler on here and not support and tell the community how to do it. So we need to make sure we put all that in the comments so people can, get our own out there. And, maybe book number 2 coming so we can see what the part 2 of the rainbow and the starlit sky going to be. Because maybe I need a 60-day instead of a 30-day.
You got it. And I will say this. If you follow her on Facebook and or Instagram, she does a lot of 30-day challenges to help you instill more discipline in your regular day and what you're doing, what you have going on. So follow her on Facebook or Instagram, both of them if you need to, so you can go through the challenges. And I'm guarantee you, the worst that gonna happen is you come out better.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Thank you, Joe.
Yes, ma'am. So once again, Jian, thank you, because your time is very valuable, but you have great information, and I'm glad that we could connect and have you on this podcast. And look, you're welcome to come back anytime. We're trying to make sure that we use this platform properly, and we're not the experts, we're just the conduits. You're the expert, so you're welcome back anytime, and hopefully we can have you back in the near future to talk more with us and give our listeners more information. So
Joe, you know what I'm thinking?
I would love to come.
What's that?
A healthy happy hour where we can do a mind coaching session, a mindfulness coaching session to get the community out there to see what it's like. A little taste, a little free sample. You know what I'm saying? We gotta get a little snack so we can see, like, hey, this is what it's about. Because people like me, I gotta get a little sample to see if it's really for me before I put my time and effort into it. And then if you hook me, I'm there.
You got him. You got him.
You got me. So it's just like maybe we need to get out there. So I think maybe one of the healthy happy hours. So we do a healthy happy hour. It's after hours every third Thursday. So it's about just a little educational thing like the podcast, but we call it healthy happy hour. We just have like no cocktails. We have healthy stuff. We used to provide a little salad bar or some. Joe and I would cook and provide a little meal in the afternoon time. But because of COVID, we're doing everything online now, like this. So we'll have a live version of it. So maybe we can get people on and have them about mindfulness and things like that, which goes into pretty much like the same amount of time. This is about a good 30, 45 minutes to an hour, and just get the community involved in seeing about what we can do and how we can promote mindfulness, because that is something we do need to promote here. So Joe, I think we need to schedule her for a healthy happy hour as soon as possible.
We do what we do. We do what we do because definitely appreciate what she brings to the table. So just reminding everybody, this is Mind Your Body and Soul, the Healthy Podcast, and we are an educational podcast that focuses on all things health related to help our listeners learn more about the various health topics and information they may not have access to. We seek to inform, empower, uplift, and mobilize our listeners to become the healthiest versions of themselves. Remember our website, www.nmcpodcast.com or www.neighborhoodmedicalcenter.org. Catch us on Anchor, Breaker, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Spotify, Google Podcasts, as well as that Neighborhood Medical Center YouTube channel. So with that being said, I am Joseph Ward. He's Mathias Sweet. And thank you to our guest, Jian Jones. We appreciate you. And we're getting up out of here. So we see y'all later. Peace out.